What up, random rockers? Before I get into the actual movie we're going to review, the Olaf's Adventure thing that is the short film that's literally 21 minutes long. That's why some people are complaining, because usually it's only 3 or 5 minutes, maybe, at max. But this thing feels like in other words, this thing feels like something that should have been a TV special, but it isn't. But it's actually good enough quality that it deserves to, just in the same sense as the first Frozen movie itself, that it works to be in this. And it feels almost like it could have been an extension of Frozen itself, and which works. And for those of you who have nieces, probably mostly nieces, or have little girls, I would definitely say going to see Coco for this reason. It should be enough of a reason to have to see this movie, bother to see Coco, but you should bother to see Coco. But so you know, you're going to the movie to see Coco, and you're getting something extra, an extra 20 minutes here of something that's actually good, that you think your kids who are so up all on Frozen are actually going to enjoy. Plus, it's a nice little way of marketing. Not only that, it's also kind of prepping up and kind of talking about Christmas, so it kind of works out, given that perfect timing for this to be used, given holiday seasons and whatnot. So anyone who's, I don't know if they're going to leave this in with the Coco film when it comes out on DVD, or if they're going to separate that out and make that short film separate from that. Not sure how they're going to do that, especially given the holiday season, so I'm not sure how they're going to handle that. Regardless, Coco itself is mostly about this family. Only that's this Mexican family in Mexico, oddly enough, which happens during the Day of the Dead. Mostly starting off giving us the heritage of this family. More specifically, what happened with one of the family members and how they were very musically involved up until one of them had basically left to try to become a big musician, and as a result, the wife basically got rid of all things music and started forming a shoemaking business. And we're now a few generations later. Our focus mostly is on this young kid named Miguel, who winds up wanting to become a musician, but their family, of course, has become strict because of this situation. And a nation that their great-great-grandfather had put them in. And he winds up finding out that that this big musician that has been the talk of the town and big talk of Mexico itself, especially during the Day of the Dead, and that this whole day takes place during the Day of the Dead. Some of these things that happen in this movie take similarities from another film that came back 2-3 years ago called The Book of Life. Though this film is far better like most Pixar films, has far better care in animation, or at least especially of the more computer-generated style of animation. And the Land of the Dead itself is actually fascinating. Very fascinating. Even just, you're also like, whoa, when you see how detailed the world is, just from looking at it at first glance. Which helps you connect more with your main character of Miguel, who winds up in the Day of the Dead because he steals a guitar from someone else, some member of the dead, and winds up somehow becoming a part of the Land of the Dead, among the dead, the spirits in the Land of the Dead. And instead of being normal ghosts, they kind of come off sort of skeleton looking, and they do come off with a lot of bone jokes, but not the ones that end with the letter R. So don't worry about that. Even though there probably is if you're really looking, but I didn't really bother at the time. But overall, his mission is to find a way to get out of the land of the dead before he becomes a part of the dead. Before the day of the dead ends, or else he'll be one of the dead. Which, that part does come off as something that might freak out some kids. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think any kid wants to see look at themselves and see their own bones coming around. Turn to bone or something. Like, yeah, I don't know about that. Turn to skeleton. I'm like, I don't know about that. That's about the only thing I would say, and might come off freaky. However, that being said, in terms of just how this film finds ways to get really deep in subject in terms of like death in general, but also more importantly, is its life lesson on family and how family plays a huge part in how when it comes to memories, how it plays a huge part even in those amongst the dead themselves, and that how even if someone were to die, what memories you have will live on with you as long as you are able to tell stories and pass them down. And that's kind of and in concept, that is something, and if not, that person may as well be completely dead and gone. And they really kind of put the nail on the pun unintended, the nail in the coffin on that, or nail on the head. I don't know how else to put it, but yeah, this film is, and for that it is amazing. And he gets help from this one dude who's been always trying to go over the bridge in the land of the dead, but always has trouble doing so. And because he wants to see his family himself, but for some reason they're forgetting him. And Dale winds up doing a favor for him to help him meet his so-called great-grandfather, to help get his blessing to go over so he can still be a musician, while helping this other guy to help with his family. And eventually things all tied, and eventually those paths cross for a reason and all this other stuff. And the spirit guides or whatever are pretty cool as well. Well, some might freak out with them, but they look pretty cool. Overall, I really enjoyed this film. It definitely will have some moments where make you cry, but to me, it wasn't until near the very end, somewhere where he finally does get out of the land of the dead, which we all know is going to happen. That's kind of predictable. But when that happens and he does this certain thing that you kind of expect was going to happen next, once it happens, you don't expect the waterworks to happen. But when that happened, I was like, son of a... I cry. I did cry. Other times it was like, other times it didn't really, but I think some people who are more emotionally or far more emotive, I guess, are definitely going to like cry consistent, like in each part possible. Some moments they're gonna just be like, damn, because this film hits deep with whatever message it brings, and even the concepts of how the land and how well thought out they did the land of the dead and how it worked, how that and the land of living work. Just lovely, well done, well thought out. The movie definitely rocks and is definitely one of the best films of the year, and I definitely recommend you going, not just to see that Frozen short, but to see this film itself. The Frozen thing is just a nice little bonus for people who actually did enjoy that. In fact, they went into some musical numbers, but I mean, I was kind of used to it because of Frozen, so it didn't bother me. And it's like, it hit where it needed to. And it's overall, it is definitely up there as one of the best Pixar films. Even better than some of the films I'm told it's being compared to, which has been WALL-E and Up. Now, Up, in terms of the first 50 minutes, I mean, in terms of like how deep, when it comes to life and death or something in terms of concept, which the first 15 minutes of Up did have, this finds a way to to focus on that, do a better job of focusing on that throughout the entire film itself, as opposed to just what Up did, which just condensed that, and then the rest of it was just mostly him getting over what happened with, you know, with the why. Like, that's another thing. They didn't really focus on what happened in the beginning, because you didn't fully understand what this was about, other than some kid and this guy. And then once you see the beginning, it all starts to make sense when it came to Up. But dude, this film is amazing. Definitely one of Pixar's best. And I'm definitely looking forward to when Incredibles 2 does come out. Because a lot of people, I mean, as far as when it comes to them dealing with sequels, they're not all that best, but hopefully Incredibles 2 will prove us wrong, and hopefully with what we got out of Coco, potentially they will be able to do a great job with Incredibles 2, even though that film literally leaves off from the first film. The only thing that makes that a good thing is if somebody, now finding out about this movie, were to go and straight up watch the Incredibles movie before they even go in there, and they're already fresh in their minds, as opposed to having seen it from back then. Because overall, I'm excited. For that. I can't wait to see what else Pixar will do next. Even more so than what I got out of I love this far more so than what I got out of Inside Out. And they're really trying to hit home a lot more for some people. Hopefully for kids and families altogether. This is a good family-oriented film. It's not a kiddie film. It is a family-oriented film. And I definitely recommend, as a family, you all go. And maybe you all will, every one of you, whether you're the mother, the father, or the sister, brother, whatever, you will all learn to love each other far more from just seeing this film to a degree, or at least by the end of it, you'll feel that way. I kind of did for a while, and kind of made me sort of regret some of the things of how I've been with my own family. So I'd say, and the fact that it worked that well, it deserves a place on, like, maybe in my top 5, if not best of the year. I gotta hand it to them. They did damn good. And they did at least make me cry at least once in the film, even though there were other times where I almost could have, but I didn't. I just was like, maybe man tearish, but not like full-blown tear like in the early end. It was a nice build-up to that. So I condone them for that. Like, if you're not really crying, we'll get you to the end. Dang it. And that's all I got to say about Coco and that Frozen short film. What did you guys think of them? Leave a comment below. Let me know. Rock that like button, thrust if you must, and rock that like button with thrust if you must. And as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking. See y'all in the next video. Take care, y'all.